Welcome to Rezzed. We're here checking out BeatBuddy, and I've got Denis who's going to introduce himself, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about the game. Denis.
Hi, I'm Denis. I'm head of art at Freaks, and I'm also co-founder.
So, you've got BeatBuddy here, and you're showing it off. This is the first time you're showing off the game to the public, yeah?
There was one time at PAX before,
Okay.
but this version is much more polished.
It looks so pretty. I mean, I was stood watching it, and you're right near the entrance to Rezzed, which is really great, because people just kind of come in and look at this very colourful game straight off the bat, and they just kind of get drawn to it. But it must be quite tricky, because you're a music-based game in some ways, so is it quite hard getting people to actually, once they see it, then sit down and play it, or do they just kind of stand there and watch, and then they're like, there must be more to this game, and then they kind of have a go? How does that work?
It's a mixture. Like, some people that enter, like, first of all, we're really lucky getting that place, I spot. Like, it's perfect, and that's already an advantage, because everyone who comes in, is the first thing they see is one of our, like, one booth is ours, and then our neighbors.
Yeah.
So that's a really lucky spot. And our problem actually is the audio. Like, we have a music game. It doesn't look like a music game, and getting to people to understand that it actually is about music takes a minute. But once they get it, they're kind of drawn in.
So, just for people that don't actually know much about BeatBuddy, let me try this one, because you've been doing this all weekend. So I'm going to have a go at explaining this one. BeatBuddy is a puzzle / Rayman style game that uses music mechanics to kind of help you get through obstacles during the level, and you're essentially working with the level to kind of DJ this song and create this experience as you're going through it. How did I do?
That was pretty much as I would go for it, I guess.
Look at that. So I'll come work for you guys then? We just like cut this off and yeah?
I'm cool with that. I mean, honestly, we've been pitching this game for 4 years now, like trying to explain people how it works, and I still can't do it. Like, I don't know, because for some reason, if you try to experience it with words, it doesn't work. Like, it is a musical experience, and it's also almost an aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
So try to explain something that you feel, right? It's really tough, and it kind of works, but usually when I show people the game, like the discussion we have before they play the game and after, they're pretty much complete opposites. Because once they understand the concept, we can really talk about the game, and before that, it's just trying to explain something I really can't explain very well.
How hard was it explaining it to an investor in a way that they understood? Because they have a tendency to have things explained in a bit of a different way to just, the average gamer, where you just like, did you bring in a band and was just like, and this is a symbol, and it's going to go with this thing in our game? How did that work?
That was pretty funny, especially like when we started 4 years ago. That was when the Guitar Hero studio closed down, and
that's got to be bad timing.
That was really not ideal. I mean, you're a bunch of students, you never did a game before, and it's like, hey, we want to make a music game, it's really awesome, and they're like, you're kidding, right?
It's like, did you not read the papers? Guitar Hero's just gone.
Music games are dead and stuff like that, and I mean, they had all right to be skeptical, because, I mean, we're just students and we had just an idea, and it took almost 3 years to get the prototype to a point where you didn't have to explain, you showed it. Like, the big difference was, before we were explaining the game, they didn't get it. Then we made a couple of videos which kind of explained where we were heading to. That kind of gave us a scholarship and a couple of smaller funding things. And from there we could build up a prototype that kind of showed what we wanted to do. And once we had the prototype running, we could show people what we wanted to do. And that's where the thing changed drastically, because it's just a huge difference between explaining it and experiencing it.
Yeah, I mean, from my personal experience, you planning for a Rezzed or any kind of event, you see like the list of games that are going to be there, and you kind of look through and you find out as much information as you can. And for BeatBuddy, it was like I'm reading all these things and I'm seeing all these pictures, and it's like, this looks really pretty and this looks kind of interesting, but I'm not quite sure what's going on. And then I found the trailer, the teaser thing, that is just so perfectly crafted that it explains the game really well, because it's just like, here's this enemy, or here's this feature, or here's this thing that makes a beat. And you just do it one by one. It's like, so this is just the drum and this is the snare, and you show them off and like you show the guy interacting with them, and then it's like, okay, now here's what happens when we put them all together, and it's just the guy bouncing through this level, and this, you really kind of created music with it, because it goes from just kind of being like, here are all these instruments that on their own they're just noise, and now if you put them all together, you not only have a level and an experience, but you're creating something during it as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the basic idea of that teaser, because making that teaser work, that was the big difficulty of it, that we explain how it works.
Yeah.
And then show partially parts of the game.
Yeah.
Because it's also in the game, I mean, you played the tutorial, it takes some time to actually get to the part where all stuff aligns, because if you do that instantly, people don't see it. And we figured, we did tons of playtesting on that you need to show step by step what's happening, and then in the end you show what's going on. And that's what the teaser basically does as well. And the next trailer we won't do it, so I really hope that people still get the idea.
Yeah.
I'm really interested how this will turn out for us.
You were mentioning that like the level that you're showing has that little tutorial bit at the beginning where it kind of shows off the beats. Playing through it, I sat there and it was like, okay, I've seen these things in the teaser, I know roughly how they work, and I've watched people play the game, so I'm kind of, and like I start and it's just like you have the individual things happening, and then as they come together, I found by like the end of the level that my foot was tapping and my head was going along with the beat, and it was just, you kind of focus and just become, as silly as it's going to sound, you kind of become one with the game, because it's a case of you're just instinctively like pushing the button to get your little the bubble buggy to go with the beat, and it's just kind of, you just fall into the rhythm and it just comes naturally.
I mean, I hope it's like that. I mean, I'm a deaf, so I see things differently.
Trust
but
me, I can tell you it is. Oh, we're being yelled at again.
Hooray!
Don't worry, you're more important, talk louder.
Yeah, I think basically, I hope we achieve that. Like, of course, as a deaf, you want to get there. You want to get exactly that moment of flow where you kind of become one with the game and you kind of go with it and don't think what you're doing and just do it. And that was like, that's the biggest compliment a developer I think can get. at all. So I'm very thankful for that.
How great a feeling was it watching people play your game, and as they got further and further into it, seeing them tap their foot or seeing them bob their head?
That's beautiful. I don't know, like, you can't express it, because all the time you build that stuff up, you never know if it works, and then you invite people over, get them tested in a small confined room and stuff. But now you actually show people outside that you don't know, you've never seen, you just let them play, and then if you see they kind of start tapping and going with the rhythm, that's awesome. That's just like, it makes us so happy, because you see it kind of works. It does what you want it to do.
So you've also got, like you were mentioning to me before we started, some really awesome, the sound in the game and how you've actually designed it and set it up. Do you want to talk a little bit about
sure.
that?
Like, the sound of the game was a big bummer for us, because the basic idea is that you make music completely interactive and freely adjustable, and to make that work, in addition with the fact that we actually want to use original composed good music that you could listen in the radio as well.
Yeah.
We had to build a technology around that, and this took our CDO over a year and a half, I think. And because it has to be performance independent, it has to run always smooth, it has to be synced always. And the funny thing about the human ear is that if it's a millisecond off, you hear it. So it has to be always on time.
It's like that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, and that is such a big chunk of the game, so this had to work. Unless this wouldn't work, we couldn't make the game, right?
Yeah.
And he actually made it work, and for some weird reasons, I don't know how that happened, we actually could patent it. So now we're patent pending, which is, for us, like, we're still joking about it in the company, because it's just very surreal.
Surely that allows you to do some rather interesting things with the game, though. I mean, am I right in thinking that means you could, once you've got it in place and you've got the beats in the right parts of the songs, you could then just shift them for different things?
Exactly. Like, the thing is that when we started, we had to do everything by ourselves by hand, which means that you build everything very, very carefully, and if anything changes, everything is broken. So that was no option, right? So right now we just take a track, break it down. Like, we need the separate stamps, and then the audio kind of adapts to it in terms of, we just put it in and the animation adapts to it, the movement adapts to it, everything is just working with that. So it's rather easy for us to change the tracks in the game. It's still a lot of work, because you need to be a dev and know how to do and stuff like that, but internally that is like a big burden that is taken away from us.
So it's not just a case of you've got a game that's just got this wonderful music to it, it's got a story as well, and you kind of got lucky with who you've got for that. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
That is one of the most ridiculous things that happened a couple of weeks ago, is that we've been working with Austin Wintory already for a while.
Yeah.
He's did the soundtrack on Journey, and he's been very helpful, and at that point we were working on the story already, and we knew that it didn't cut it and it didn't work, and we were like,
so like up late nights pulling out hair, just going, we've got this game but we've got no story. What if he's searching for his parents, or what if he's trying to become president, or what if there's a zombie invasion? None of these work.
that was like really horrible. We had some kind of story, but it wasn't working. No one got it. Like it was just confusing, and it was just a justification to do stuff in the game, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't sleep at that point, and for some reason, Rihanna Pratchett asked Austin Wintory at that point if he does know any indies in need, and we definitely were indies in need at that point.
Yeah.
So we got the contact and we talked a bit, and she was willing to help us, and she did a tremendous job. I'm so impressed by how the confinement she got. Like the game was done at that point. Like everything was set up, even the cinematics were set up, the in-game cutscenes, and she molded a new story around that just works, and it's not confusing, and it's not weird, and it's fun to read, and I'm so thankful.
I have to ask, when you first, like, you know, she gave you the draft and you were just like, okay, what did it feel like after you'd read through it? That moment where you were just like, this is perfect, this is incredible, this is our game? Or was it a case of, I never actually thought of that? Like, what was?
First of all, I think it was an incredible relief, because at that point I was really scared that it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And then she just kind of made it work. Like it was incredible how she just. It felt natural, and the language was beautiful, and then it was actually funny, and all these little things that you want to have in a game, and it was there for one reason. At some point, it just was there, and it started becoming a story that would be enjoyable, and then would also make sense, and that is something that I'm incredibly grateful of, because I don't think we could have managed without her.
So, do you want to tell people roughly what kind of release schedule you're looking at currently?
Well, currently we want to release within the next month.
Okay.
So that's what I can say right now. And
yeah, because putting it down to like a day, you're always going to maybe run into last minute issues, and you never want to do that.
We have internally already a day set up, but
that may change.
We want to make sure that it's really that date, unless I don't want to say anything that kind of doesn't make sense because we want to change it or something. But we have internally already a date. It's within the next month, and we should announce it pretty closely.
Okay, and you'll be releasing on just Steam, which means you've got Mac, Linux, and PC.
Exactly. Yeah. And luckily, again, we are also working on console, and we're a small indie team. We're just 8 guys trying to make that work as good as possible. So we do baby steps, one step at a time.
Yeah. You don't want to be like, okay, we're going to launch this on everything, and then just kind of go, oh crap, no.
That's how we started. Like, no problem, everything at once, no problem. But you kind of grow up and realize, like, maybe there's more to it than you thought, and then you realize, okay, let's do baby steps, and that was a really, really smart decision.
I can understand that and get behind that one. So if people want to find out more about the game, where do you recommend they go?
On BeatBuddy.com or on our Facebook page, BeatBuddy.
That's really simple. You get some people here that are like, yeah, you need to go to like our Facebook page, which is Facebook, like our game / our company / this gaming. And it's just like, no, BeatBuddy.
Yeah, we got lucky. Again.
That seems to happen.
Yeah, that's our thing, getting lucky, I guess. I don't know. Like,
after a point, it becomes skill.
Like, one thing we do is we crunch a lot to kind of force chance in our way, but I still feel incredibly grateful for everything that happened so far, and I hope it keeps happening.
Well, Dennis, thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and I wish you all the best with your game.
It's great meeting you.
Thank you.